Hello future homesteaders, welcome back to That British Homestead. Today we're going to be jumping in the world of roasted tomato canning. And don't worry, you don't need a PhD in food science to make delicious roasted and safe canned food. First little apology, as you can see I've only got a temporary kitchen because we've actually knocked our kitchen down and we're in the process of building a new one. So if I can do it here, you can do it anywhere. So, canning is not just a great way to preserve food, which it is. It's also a fantastic way to improve your homesteading skills, no matter where you are. Especially when you have an absolute ton of produce coming in. So why are we roasting these beautiful tomatoes? Well, now this tomato sauce, wow, has no salt in it, has no sugar in it, and the flavour is amazing. It brings the natural sweetness out of the tomato and does a smoky, delicious flavour that really is a game changer. Pro tip, if you go ahead and use loads of varieties of tomatoes, it really gives you a complex flavour to your sauce. I start off with washing my tomatoes. I then core them. I don't bother taking off the skins or deseeding them. I just stick them on a roasting pan and pop them into the oven. I do this in batches and then I take them out and they've got tons of water in the bottom of the pan. I leave that in the bottom of the pan and I basically take them all out and I put them into a big pan and let all the juices run out of them. Once the juices have started to run out of them, I scoop them out and I put them into a colander. You can see how much juice is being produced. I run it through a colander and I get it much drier. I then blend it up. It is important to blend it up once all of the water is out, or it's really painful to get it out by boiling it for ages. Don't throw away your tomato water. This stuff is, I can't describe to you how delicious this tomato water is. That's my tomato water. I'm going to go ahead and can this as well. It is, I think it's about 3 o'clock in the morning now. So I'm going to get ahead and do this. So you get two types of jars. We're going to be using pint jars, which is just under 500 millilitres. You can get 500 millilitres ones. You can get slightly smaller, which are pint jars. These ones here are narrow necked and these ones are wide necked. Okay, they're the difference between them. Now you get tons of different types of jars. You get ball canning jars, you get La Parfait jars. These ones are called Home. They're actually a cheaper jar. I've tried these out. They're very, very good reviews, so I'm going to try them out this year. Now, technical here, you have a flat. Okay, some people call these lids, some people call them flats. I call them flats, and this is a ring. Once you've filled your jar, you put your flat on your jar, and then you go ahead and do it up fingertip tight, which means I can do it up with my fingertips. I'm not ranking it with my hand, okay? That's really bad because the lid will buckle. This is a jar grabber, okay? You grab it just underneath this rib here, which gives you a secure grab. There are different ways of this, but this is the correct way to use it. I have seen some people use it the other way. This is not how it's designed to be used. I don't even know how they do it, but it is designed to be used like so. And it gets them in and out of the water. So the next thing we need is one of these. This is a powder funnel. It allows large solids to go through, okay, so that we will be able to do this and keep your rings nice and clean. Next is a cup jar. I really like this to decant. I use this over the ladle every day. Next, we need some vinegar. In areas of hard water, you need vinegar to stop the glasses going cloudy, and lemon juice to make sure that you have the correct acidity. Now, you don't actually need to have a pressure canner or an actual canner at all. Now, what I have here is a large stock pot. I bought these off Amazon years ago, back when you got 3 for £30. I believe they're a lot more expensive now. I used the largest one for canning. You cannot put your cans or your glass jars at the bottom of the canner without anything there. Old rings make a perfect rack for your canner, or a tea towel. You can go ahead and boil your jars if you want to, but I'm going to be processing these for 40 minutes, so I'm not going to. You only sterilise these for 10 minutes, you boil them for 40, so I'm confident to do that. If you want to put that extra step in, that's absolutely fine. What you do is get your canner up to a boil and you just place them in and boil it. That's fine. You can do this at the beginning or the end, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to put a tablespoon in each of my jars. This is the step you can't actually go ahead and miss, because this is what keeps botulism away. There's no such thing as botulism in high acid food. This is low acid food, so we can water bath can it. Now you can go ahead and add a pinch of salt into each one of these jars. I personally don't can with salt, because I find that if I have these salty and then I have some beans salty and then this, I just get a concoction of food that's too salty. Now, if this all looks really intimidating, don't worry, it's not. Just take it step by step, we'll be fine, okay? Let's do it together. So, have you got all your jars prepped? Good work. Cold jars, cold sauce. Warm jars, warm sauce. Remember that, because if you put something hot in a cold jar, it will shatter. This is super thick, that's why we're not pressure canning it. It is not safer to pressure can. So that is what I do for Headspace. Now, like all good people that have canned for years, I have completely lost my debobbler. I am using a metal, I don't know what it's called, but it does icing on cakes. So I'm using one of these. Now, they say don't use metal in canning jars. I'm not going to smash it in there and shatter the glass. That's all they're trying to say. But if you just get in and you wiggle around the content like so, what we're trying to do is get out any bubbles. As you can see, there's a few there. What we're going to do is just wiggle it around until the bubbles go to the surface like so. Another thing I like to do, little tap. Pro tip, always have more jars than you actually need. You want to have about an inch worth of headspace in each of the jars. Recheck the headspace, because after you bubble them, the headspace might drop. Vinegar on a rag or some kitchen roll, paper towel, whatever you're going to call it. Make sure you have very clean rings. You can heat up your flats, I don't. Fingertip tight. Into the canner. Cold jars go in cold water or warm water, and hot jars go in hot water. That's a little bit over. So I'm going to grab my tablespoon. I'm going to skim some of that off. I'm going to put it in that one over there, because that one's a little bit less. Looks good. Ring. Fingertip tight. It is important that you get the canner or stock pot, whatever you're using, to a rolling boil before you set your timer. Also, you need about an inch of water above your level of your cans or your glass jars. process these jars for 45 minutes. If they drop below a rolling boil, you do have to go ahead and restart the time. Heat up my other jars so that I could put them straight into the boiling water. Remember, hot jars, hot canner. So as they cool, their tops will loosen. I like to tighten them up as they cool, not when they're burning hot, because you'll burn yourself. Make sure you go ahead and leave about an inch space between your jars. So you should now hear a load of pop, 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 pop noises as the jars seal themselves. That's perfectly normal. If you don't hear them straight away, that's fine, but you'll hear them over the next several hours. Do not touch your jars, leave them where they are for 24 hours, give them a wipe down. So these are my finished jars. They do separate, If you just give them a shake, they do go back together. This is a really thick sauce. Now this is my roasted tomato sauce. It's really thick. This is a normal tomato sauce where I had to cook the water off. Do you see the difference? This is so much thicker. This one also has stuff like squash and herbs and things like that in there. I pressure canned this. This one is water bath canned, so it's a bit different. It's much more simple, but it's so flavoursome. Like I said, there's no sugar, there's no salt, no nothing in there. You can go ahead and add like a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to each one, even like a sugar, whatever you want. Taste it, see if you want. You don't actually need to water bath sugar or salt, so don't worry about, I would say, how much you put it in, but it'd be gross if you put a lot in. But it's super, super yummy. I also wash all my jars, so after I can them, I take them out the can, I take their rings off, and then I go ahead and wash the entirety of the jar and I scrub around the rim. I also do the test. I'm pulling on that with all my measly strength, and it's actually, look, cutting into my fingers. I'm pulling that hard, but it's back sealed on. It's not going to come open. And what you want to do you hear that? That means it's completely utterly in there. All right, it's not. You'll hear a bop 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 sound. These jars will be shelf stable for 2 years, if not longer. I've heard like ridiculous stories about people having them for far longer. I had a jar from like 2020 the other day, which is like 4 years ago, and I'm still here. Am I saying that you should eat a jar from 2020? No, of course not. I'm just telling you an unrelated story, so just saying. But if you try this and one of your jars don't seal, that's fine too, because all you can do is grit that can and use it that week, just like you would do any other food. So thank you so much for watching. I've got tons of washing up to do. If you like content like this, well, don't forget to subscribe, and please go ahead and let me know if you want to see more canning videos or what you want me to can. I'll definitely be doing a salsa soon, so let me know if you want to see that.